We're going to go straight to our correspondent Lee Ji-won covering also from the ground of Singapore. We are waiting to see a long motorcade carrying the leaders of the exact summit location, which is the Capella Hotel in Sentosa Island. Ji-won, what are we hearing from the ground?
In about an hour, the historic summit will take place here in Singapore's Capella Hotel in the nation's southern island of Sentosa, like you said. Now, to tell you more about this summit, it'll start off with a one-on-one meeting between the two leaders after a short initial greeting. When the two leaders are sitting down one-on-one, there's only going to be the interpreters, according to the White House. Now, after that one-on-one, the leaders will be able to have an extended meeting where President Trump's closest aides will be joining him. The extended talk will be joined by the U.S. delegates, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Chief of Staff John Kelly, and National Security Advisor John Bolton. Now, mind you, John Bolton, a hardliner on Pyongyang, had infuriated North Korea a few weeks ago by pushing the so-called Libya model on North Korea, where the North is asked to give up all its nuclear weapons first. So I think Kim Jong-un and his delegates' exchanges or responses to Bolton will be something interesting to look out for. And for the working lunch, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders and Ambassador Sung Kim, a former nuclear negotiator who had been at the forefront of working-level talks with the North until the very last day, will be joining Trump and Kim. And when the summit finishes, President Trump is to hold a press briefing before returning to the U.S. at around 8 in the evening. While many of the plans and details on the U.S. side have been shared through the White House Press Secretary's office, not much is known to us about North Korea. But watchers say that Kim Young-chul, vice chairman of North Korea's ruling Workers' Party Central Committee, and the North Korean leader's younger sister Kim Yo-jong will certainly be among those accompanying Kim in the extended meeting. Now, Kim, according to Reuters, is scheduled to fly back to Pyongyang at 2 in the afternoon, which is just 5 hours after the start of his summit with the U.S. counterpart. Now, according to Bloomberg, citing a U.S. official, President Trump was willing to stay longer in Singapore depending on how the summit goes. But they say the revelation of Kim Jong-un's surprisingly early departure also prompted Trump to schedule his flight earlier.
Ji-won, what do you think are going to be the main watch points today during today's summit?
The main deal for today's summit is whether Kim Jong-un will comply with the U.S. request of completely, verifiably, and irreversibly denuclearize, or CVID, and in exchange, will Trump promise Kim Jong-un the complete, verifiable, irreversible security guarantee to Kim Jong-un and his regime. Now, the working-level delegations of Sung Kim and North Korea's Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee, who had been negotiating over at the inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom a number of times, met again a couple more times in Singapore on Monday. The two sides were negotiating until late last night, heading back to their hotels at around 10 p.m. local time. Now, according to inside sources, the discussions seem to have hinged on the notion of North Korea's CVID. Unnamed sources say the U.S. seeks to get a commitment from the North to CVID in writing, but Pyongyang is protesting strongly against the phrase because it sees it as portraying the regime as a defeated country. And with North Korea asking for CVIG, we will have to see if the U.S. will come up with some kind of an agreement with the North.
And Ji-won, do we have some sort of a response from the U.S., the official ones I'm talking about? I mean, we know that Trump had tweeted earlier this morning, but apart from that, were we able to see these kinds of unresolved issues in Pompeo's press briefing yesterday?
Before I talk about Pompeo's press briefing yesterday, to tell you more about Trump's tweet, he said that this morning that the meetings between representatives are going well and quickly, but that doesn't matter, and that they will soon find out whether a real deal can be reached, unlike those of the past. Now, back to Pompeo's press briefing, he said yesterday that the talks are progressing fast, but he also emphasized on what the North will accept and what it will not. Have a listen.
The ultimate objective we seek from diplomacy with North Korea has not changed. The complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korea Peninsula is the only outcome that the United States will accept.
So now, of the different parts of CVID, Pompeo emphasized the importance of verification. He said that the V matters and that it's only after the V happens that they will be able to fully proceed. He added that the U.S. will ensure it sets up a system sufficiently robust to be able to verify these outcomes. Back to you guys.
Trump summit with Chairman Kim Jong-un.